morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, July 13th, and we're here for our work session. As always, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, and since we have Assemblywoman Jody Giglio with us today, I think we'll ask her to lead us off.
There we go.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we have just one announcement today. Tomorrow, the 14th of July, will be our next Alive on 25 event, downtown Riverhead. Everybody is encouraged to come out and participate. As always, it will run from 5 to 9:30 at night. There'll be, of course, stages set up along Main Street. There'll be live music. Restaurants will have the outdoor dining for folks to come out and enjoy. Craft breweries, all sorts of kid-related activities. So it's always a fun time. We encourage everybody to come out and participate. And we do have kind of a packed agenda today, so we're going to get right to it. And our first discussion item this morning is with Assemblywoman Jody Giglio. Welcome back to 200 Howell, Assemblywoman.
Thank you.
Always good to see you.
You
Home
too.
away from home?
Yeah, exactly. And she's going to lead us in a discussion about a proposed Welcome to the North Fork sign.
Yes, so I was approached by Elaine Duffy to say that the North Fork of Long Island, including Riverhead, really needs its own identity. And the North Fork is known as wine country and the wine trail and many other great things that we have to offer, as well as our farms and agriculture. But the Welcome to the North Fork sign is something that Elaine had come up with and gone through many renditions. And has also spoken to, she's with the executive board of the Jamesport Civic Association and many other organizations to try and get a consensus on this sign. So you all have a copy of the sign in front of you. Jason Blizzard has been working with us to identify a good location for the sign, which you also have a copy of before you. And the New York State DOT is requesting some things that it's going to be difficult for the Civic Association to attain, but could possibly be done through the town of Riverhead if once the grant funding has been received and the sign will be paid for, and we get a letter from the county, who I believe currently maintains that corner, which is the northeast corner of Route 105 and Main Road. And then once we get the application from them filled out saying that they will continue to maintain that corner, that should be fine. And then we'll get the funding for the sign.
The northeast corner? That's where the Welcome to Wine Country sign is, isn't it?
No, that's on the south. Isn't that on the south?
No,
It is on the north, and it's
yeah.
right where our sign.
I thought this was going on the southeast corner.
Right.
Okay, so I thought this was going, he has the map right there.
Yeah, this is the northeast corner. That, I think we had discussion about possibly.
Right, it is the northeast corner, so I'll give you these to look at. Because the location on the south side is very crowded.
So what are you talking about, Mason? Moving the wine countryside to the south side?
No, the wine countryside is on the south side.
It should be on the other side of the road. The other
What's
side
the
of the
map?
place.
I think that's what this is all private property. This is hotel, it's not the Jason, where's the wine countryside?
It is on the northeast corner. It's
Yes.
more,
So we have to move it.
it's like closer to the sidewalk, a little bit.
Right.
Offset. On the southeast corner, the parcel, that home basically owns into like Main Road. That parcel
Right.
goes all the way out, so there's really no space for us to put anything on that.
So it would complement with the Wine Country sign.
Could the wine country sign, could it be added to the same thing? Could you make it like a two-tier sign?
Well, we had discussed that, putting something underneath that said, North Fork Wine, welcome to the North Fork Wine Trail. Because that's kind of what the sign says, the Long Island Wine Country, North Fork Wine Trail, next 20 miles is what the sign currently says.
But
could you
everybody puts
combine the
their
two?
signs up there. We usually have 4 or 5. It's not a very attractive approach to the North Fork. And the other side of the street could accommodate a wine sign. It would be, there's enough room there for that, and it should be on that side. So, and we have so many industries other than wine, we want to promote the North Fork. That's our goal.
So let's just assume we can work out the location of where it would physically live, whether it's this corner or that corner. Take us through the steps, Assemblywoman, if you would.
So the New York State DOT has requested that the site location map showing the closest streets and the mile markers, which Jason has kindly prepared for us, a sketch drawing of the sign and dimensions, which we have, the survey for the abutting property, which I'm working through with New York State DOT, and then also the W-9, which is request for taxpayer identification number and certification, and a copy of the deed to the abutting property that the county is working on getting me as well. So it's really just who can fill out the application, who's got the insurance to put the sign in place, who can, oversee the installation other than the Jamesport Civic Association, the town of Riverhead, to make sure that it's at the proper depth, and that, and then am working on getting the letter from the county, who I believe is maintaining those corners, to make sure that they will continue to maintain those corners, because there's an occupancy form that has to be filled out also, saying that they will maintain that. And when it comes to the maintenance of the sign, your resolution could say that the Jamesport Civic Association would maintain the sign. So if it needed painting or if it needed any rehabilitation, then they would start their fund driving again in order to maintain the sign itself.
So that,
So my question, Elaine, have you, because I was involved with the wine country, the wine trail
Yes, I
signs
know.
a while back, and it was a heavy lift and it took a long time. Have you spoken to the wine council at all and just let them know?
Yes, I spoke to,
Steve? Steve?
Kareem Massoud.
Oh, you did?
He's the president. And he directed me to another person who I did not call. I think she's with Sparkling Point. And I'm trying to not get ahead of my skis and, get too far out with, because, we're not at the stage yet where I feel like I could just tell everybody this is coming. But, yeah, I'm pretty confident. We also spoke to the DOT. I know that there aren't any DOT permits for that's at least not that one that's here. No DOT permit. I don't know what that adds to the picture, but I would like to speak to them or have the Civic Association speak to them. But this is such a win-win for the entire town of Southold.
Oh, I'm not disputing.
No,
I'm
no,
just-
no, I-
I'm
Southold?
just saying.
And Riverhead.
Riverhead.
You
Yeah,
guys
South-
say,
yes, yeah.
both. And,
For the town of Riverhead, for the town of Southold, and just saying that this is the North Fork. I mean, the South Fork has identified themselves with the signs for the Big Duck and other things that relate to the South Fork, and we thought
Riverside.
that identifying the North Fork was.
I do like the rendering, it's very, very
Yes.
nice and welcoming. I think it would be a great
It's
addition.
very clear.
I'm not sure, just as an aside, if
simple.
this is up online or not, but we'll double check that, and if it's not, we'll be sure to get a copy of this up there so folks can see what we have here. Just with respect to the funding for the sign, do we have any thoughts on where we might pull the money from?
The total cost is $2,400, so with fundraising, and then I'll be applying for grants or seeing what grants I can get to give to
See this?
Civic?
the Civic, so that they can,
That includes installation, 2,400?
Yes.
That's good.
yeah.
I would, if this goes through, I would recommend that you do welcome to the North Fork, that goes in reflective. So it's reflective, so the sign works at night and during the day. So
Yes,
it works
'cause we do not
24
have
hours a
electric
day.
there.
Huh?
We don't have
No,
electric, so
the
that would
painting,
help.
the
No, no.
coating would be reflective, so when
Right.
car headlights hit it, it lights up.
Right, that
It's
would be
reflective material.
helpful,
It's
because we do
reflective
not
vinyl.
have any electric.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great idea.
So
Frank
Jason,
told me that.
Jason, do you have any other comments you want to add?
The only thing that I saw, well, as long as we're moving forward with the Jamesport Civic, taking on maintenance and everything, the only thing that I saw was an annual maintenance permit that we would have to get, highway work permit, a use and occupancy to actually install the sign. After it's installed, an annual maintenance permit is needed for that. Yeah, as far as the permitting, I mean, the permit itself is pretty extensive, but I think Assemblywoman can help us with some of the stuff that is required. But yeah, as far as that's concerned, my main focus was the maintenance for the.
And it sounds like the
falling back
Jamesport
on the town.
Civic is taking that off your shoulders, and they're gonna,
That's
Yeah.
my-
they're gonna
that was
handle
my
that,
main
which is
reservation.
wonderful.
And the sign people have told me that there really isn't any maintenance. It's a, maybe wash it down or something after a storm, but there really isn't anything. It should last for 10 years.
Okay,
Good.
so really, I guess,
It's really the grounds, I think, that they want maintained underneath the sign, which is being currently maintained by by Suffolk County, I believe.
Right.
It is.
Yes. Suffolk County DPW maintains that area, even though it's a state right of way.
We doing any plantings or anything with it, like, on the other side?
We'd love to
Over
have
down
some
where Flanders
donations.
comes in on 24, they got nice flowers and
It would
everything
be great.
displayed underneath the sign. Is there
Well,
any more
that's
to add
something
to
that
it?
we would have to take up with the county, because that would make it obviously a little more difficult to mow underneath the sign. So I don't know if the county would maintain the weeding of the flowers and, everything else, that it shouldn't get overgrown or appear neglected. So if the county's gonna maintain the corner, then the county would have to decide whether or not the flowers could go there. But, in a beautification process, I've seen where we have hung flowers from signs that might be something that Buildings and Grounds may wanna do, because then the flower pots can just be taken down at the end of the season.
I have visions of, what is it, bonsai, where they shape the big tractor. Wouldn't that be cool? They're great. Coming
Then
to
you
the-
gotta water the flowers, and if you don't, then they die, and then
Right.
it looks terrible.
Right, and
It
there
should
is no
be-
irrigation there, so.
Yeah.
I
There
mean, this
isn't-
is, the sign's right, it's the right size, it's the right amount of lettering, so that people see it when they're driving by.
Yep, and that's the point, is just to identify the North Fork.
Great. All right. Any other comments from the board?
One
No.
last little comment too, even though all of this, like the maintenance and everything, we will still own that sign. So the town will take ownership of that sign. So
Right.
even though the maintenance falls on them, we still own that sign.
So if somebody runs into that sign, okay, vehicle runs into that, what happens?
We would have to work with Jamesport Civic to get.
Fundraise
to get a
and
new
some money
sign.
for a new sign.
And
Okay,
if like maintenance falls off, with that, they could take the
Right.
permit and all that stuff, if maintenance falls through.
Okay.
But
Plus, there's a
that's,
police report at the time, then you can go through the insurance, and that's what we did Veterans Memorial Park.
So
Well, we
if the
also
town
have-
board would kindly give us a resolution saying that we agree to use your services in order to get the permit for the location, which Jason's already done all the work. And then in your resolution, you could include that the Jamesport Civic Association would be maintaining the sign. And it's subject to the county for the occupational permit, saying that they would maintain the grounds.
Board comfortable with that?
Yeah.
yeah,
I do think as a smaller note, though, we had a work session last year about tulip locations. Could be a nice little spot. Have to add that to our potential list in the future.
Daffodils.
Daffodils,
Isn't it daffodils?
Yeah,
tulips.
it is daffodils for Van de Wettering.
Yes.
Yeah, bulbs.
But to do that is nice, to add that as one of our potential locations. It'd be really
Yeah,
nice to
I
lighten it
think
all
that's
up.
a great idea.
Okay.
A little slope planter going up, that come up every year. Less worry about watering and things like that, it's more natural, ongoing. Could be pretty
Okay,
cool.
Watering and easy to mow.
That's right.
great.
Okay,
All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Very
much.
much.
so
Assemblywoman,
nice to
good
see you all again.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank
Jason,
you.
thanks as always.
thank you.
This stuff, we always thought it was a great idea, just gotta get that funding for it. So one thing we're always short about in years past.
I always think this,
Okay,
I don't know what that is.
so moving on, our next discussion item in the queue here is with Chief Hager Miller. We're going to talk about his June report. Good morning, Chief.
Good, how you doing?
Take it away, Chief.
Okay,
report out to everyone, so you should have a copy. Our numbers look good for June. Calls received are down, which are good. Domestics are up slightly. Motor vehicle accidents way down. Councilman Kern, deer strikes are way down. Summonses issued are just about the same, a little up. Arraignments the same, arrest numbers are up. Criminal incidents are basically the same. They went up by 1 from 227 to 228. Non-criminal are way down. Revenues are up. And what else do I have for you? Overdoses were 0 again for June.
Oh, good,
Yes.
good.
And only
Good to hear that.
one use of Narcan.
Okay.
So the numbers are pretty positive again for June, same way they were in May. I also want to just report on Eastern Environmental. We were out there last Friday after Thursday's town board meeting. We were there with the DEC, with the fire marshals, the police department. The site was inspected. They did have the damaged lithium-ion batteries on site, which I guess they were permitted to do under the DEC. They're still looking at that. They're allowed to transport them and then hold them on the site for 10 days. We did write them 2 summonses on Friday for storing hazardous materials on site without our permit. And we went back there on Saturday to find them packing up the stuff to move it out, which was good. We also we wrote them 2 more summonses on Saturday, re-inspected on Sunday, and all the lithium-ion batteries were gone. So, good news.
Chief, I have one question. With Narcan use, is that only by the police department itself, or does it also include like when the ambulance departments use it?
That we know about, yes, right, so.
Because I know like sometimes I believe the volunteer ambulance are using it, sometimes it's not threatening if, in other words, if they don't know the circumstances of why somebody may be unconscious, something like that. Narcan, from what I understand, the effects of using it on somebody is harmless.
Right.
You know, so sometimes it's used just because they don't know prior circumstances. I don't know if that's like in the count.
We
so.
do capture that, so it was used by EMS or the fire department
Okay.
on this last report.
Yeah.
But we know about it.
Yeah. But
Okay.
like I say, sometimes I think it's been used as a safety precaution. If somebody is in fact unconscious, they don't know the circumstances. Narcan, it doesn't hurt to use it. Thanks.
Stay tuned for Live on 25 tomorrow because the weather is not looking too promising, so
That's right.
Tis
check
summertime.
back. It's summer and there's thunderstorms, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Chief.
If there was a
Thanks, Chief.
cancellation, any idea what time that would be made?
I would think probably either late today or early tomorrow morning.
Okay. So the public knows.
Chief, I know in the past, we've had, some rain, which I welcome standing in the street, but it didn't last long.
No, usually just passing.
But it doesn't look good for tomorrow night.
Need the Vegas tunnel.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Chief. Next up, we have a couple of code revision items to discuss. We have our town attorney with us, also Deputy Town Attorney Danielle Hurley. We'll ask them to come forward. The first thing we're going to chat about is possibility of creation of a new chapter in our town code, Chapter 117, regarding mandatory surcharges. Oh, Chief, you're going to join us. Great. Great. Morning, guys. Morning. We're great. Great, we're ready for you. Take it away.
All right, so this is an idea that we ran through code revision. Councilman Hubbard had asked if there was additional ways to fund sort of specific projects in town. And so in doing some research, I looked at Southampton's town code and found that they had attached surcharges to certain justice court violations. So building on that model, Danielle put together this legislation.
So the goal is to basically link up the violation to a corresponding remedial and restorative fund. So For example, if somebody is charged with an open alcohol, we're proposing a $65 surcharge that would go towards the Human Services and Town of Recreation Department Fund. So that $65 would go directly to that fund, and that fund could be used to fund programs relating to alcohol and substance abuse. And there's a list of 1 through 9 of different ideas we have of where that money can be used. Right now, the money that we receive from Justice Court, we receive 100% of the fines from Justice Court, but that goes directly into the general fund, into fines and forfeitures. This would basically, the surcharge would earmark funds for certain purposes. So that was one example, the Human Services surcharge. The next is the blight mitigation surcharge. So that would attach a $100 mandatory surcharge for violations relating to unlawful structure, no rental permit, commercial littering, and then a $65 blight mitigation surcharge for unsafe buildings, people that have high grass yard waste, shopping carts, littering and graffiti. So the money from that surcharge would go towards a fund for the town's beautification. For example, the sign that we were just discussing, the money from this surcharge could go directly towards funding that project, or subsidizing any other costs related to beautification of
So
the
like,
town.
yeah, the tulips, the flower clock that we had discussed a couple work sessions back,
Right.
those sorts of things.
Just one question on the surcharge itself. Like fines, sometimes it's like Monty Hall, let's make a deal over there in court. The surcharge is a guarantee,
Yeah,
correct?
surcharge is mandatory, would not be waived. The policy in my office at least would be not to waive surcharges. I know that sometimes in justice court, they will, work some kind of deal, where it's maybe like a lesser violation that doesn't carry a surcharge or a lesser surcharge. Our approach in this would be that the surcharges would not be waivable or
Okay.
negotiable at all.
Good.
Good. Similar to like seatbelt, in the V&T law, there's state surcharges, and they can let you off on the ticket or not fine you for the ticket, but you still have to pay that surcharge.
Correct,
So,
and
good.
building on the handicap violations.
Yes.
Carry a mandatory $30 surcharge that the state retains. So this is essentially sort of like a savings account for, for certain purposes. So when we are, when we are approached with, an idea for a project or something, we'll have a fund that we can identify, that has, it's not gonna be right away, it's gonna take some time to build this up. But, I think that would be useful to the town board in fielding proposals on projects that come before you.
I just have one thing on, when I looked at this, on 117-4B, I would like to see that $65 go to $100, only because, if we have to take littering, we've increased the littering fines, and I think that,
It's addition to the fine, so you have your
I
littering fine.
understand
and
that,
then-
yeah, but I think the surcharge should be that high for littering, because,
So
need
we,
to
we,
take-
we have, are you talking about 245 is littering? So we have 245-8, that's the commercial littering. So that we have a $100 surcharge on. And 245-3 through 245-6 is just, if a person litters or does graffiti, and that's a $65
Okay,
surcharge.
great, thank you, thank you.
Okay.
I misread that.
And Danielle, other jurisdictions do this already?
So yeah, as Eric indicated, Southampton Town, I looked at their surcharge code, and they have a similar structure towards similar funds. The last fund I'd like to discuss is the water quality protection surcharge. We would create a water quality protection fund. That would be a $250 mandatory surcharge And that would be attached to fines related to people that do excavation and grading without permits. They clear land too close to the wetlands, stormwater management, erosion, and sediment control charges. So that would go towards a fund that we could use for any of the purposes listed in D, which basically includes programs, educational programs, pilot programs to test new technology, water quality sampling and testing, and et cetera. And each of these funds would have a catch-all that would allow the board to use the funds towards any purpose that they deem that would fit that category. So human services, beautification, or the water quality protection.
I totally agree with Councilman Hubbard in terms of the way the fines work in the court, and this guarantees that we're getting a surcharge and we're creating this fund as opposed to fines being reduced by the judges. Not to,
Yes, so it is a mandatory surcharge, and we did provide language in here that says that the surcharges shall be added to the stated fines for each violation and shall be imposed by the presiding judge at sentencing.
I think it's just a nice way to garner a little money for special projects and other projects that we're always scrambling and looking for funds for. The intent isn't for the town to get rich off of this, but for these specific services, or the going to these specific services helps every one of those out, so.
Yeah, we
This isn't
tried.
a huge money grab, but it does help us with some of the issues in these different services that are provided.
Right, and it does relate back to the specific violation,
Right.
so, so it's, you know, if someone violates a town code that's, you know, in place in order to, say, prevent blight, and they're found guilty of one of these, or plead guilty to one of these violations that relates to creating blight, you know, it makes a nice nexus there, so that they are, you know, sort of, providing restitution to the town for their, you know, bad conduct.
And this won't be for all town code violations. We went through and looked at the town code violations that we see most prevalent. So hopefully this will reduce the rate of recidivism, but also link the fines to, like we said, some sort of remedial fund to match the violation.
Danielle, you did an awesome job. Thank you very much, Councilman Hubbard, for getting this on track. I have one simple question, is that when we go to Section B under the authority, just reading the list from 1 through 9, would our CAP program fall into that, or do we need to, or should we be specifying them now, just for like, you know, underage drinking, other things like that, fines? You know, I want to make sure that CAP is amazing in terms of the programs that they do for our high schools. So just as a quick additive, do we say under D, do we say for like community awareness programs or something like that, where if we do have a substantial number of fines or tickets that are being written for underage drinking, can that money go to CAP to help promote that, to end that, stop it?
We could certainly put that in there. I think it would fit nicely there. Other than that, it does have the catch-all that any other bona fide human service or recreation purpose deemed appropriate by the town board. So it could already be included, you know, we would just, in the resolution, probably have to articulate that, or we could make an addition and call it out specifically.
Simply, we just added before we go to like a public hearing, if we just add like for community awareness programs or something like that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And that just covers it, right?
Yeah,
Anyone else
that's a
agree?
great idea, great idea.
Thanks, just you.
Yeah, and I'm really glad to see sports and leagues, because last year we had to get some additional money to help people get on some of the teams. And so this would be helpful. There are people that can't afford, you know, to get on these teams, and this would be great.
And this could also, you know, be a really great way of having funds available when CDA works on grants and we have to come up with money to match. This could be a source for that matching requirement.
The only thing that'd be more of a question for the chief, and whether or not it falls in, but when we do the townwide sweeps for underage drinking and so forth, ticket, initially imagine one is written to obviously the person who sells the alcohol to a minor, but what about the establishment itself?
It's the person who sells it to
it's strictly just to the person itself. The reason I was just asking, do you a higher fine for the establishment itself, or, you know,
And CAP already helps us fund those.
yeah, yeah, that's why it'd be good, to put something back into their hands. Thanks.
Okay, any other comments from the board? Everybody's comfortable?
Yeah, I think it's good.
So I guess, guys, you'll make that one addition that the councilman requested, and then we'll be ready to put it in for publish and post, right?
Yeah, it can be ready for a publish and post at the next meeting if everybody is
For Tuesday.
on
Okay,
board.
great.
Yeah, it's already drafted.
Great.
Thank you, guys, nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And don't go anywhere, because you're up again, as you know. We have 2 additional code revision items to discuss, both related to Chapter 289-10, parking prohibited Peninsula Path and Toomey Avenue, and also the beach roads by Pier Avenue and Reeves Avenue. Who wants to lead us off?
I did send out an email this morning, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but Peninsula Path is off Ostrander Avenue. It's basically a driveway that services 6 houses. So the residents on that street are a little fearful that someone will park on that street and then you wouldn't be able to get an ambulance or a fire truck down there, so.
Yeah, it's a very narrow.
Yeah, very narrow. And if you look at the email, I sent you a picture too, so you can see how narrow it is. The other one is Toomey, south of Manor. We had the residents come into traffic safety meeting, and they were also concerned about trucks blocking access to emergency vehicles. So Coastal Pipeline Products is on that road, right on Toomey, south of Manor. And it seems that their tractor trailers are parking on Toomey and blocking access to one resident said that they couldn't even get out as far as to go to the doctor's appointment, so. I think no parking on one side of the road there is required.
And the other 2 sections, the beach roads by Pier Avenue and Reeves Avenue, this was brought up through the beach committee where they're requesting that the signs be posted because people were going down and dropping off at the beach and coming up and parking in front of their houses, blocking their driveways and everything else. It wasn't posted. Now you would need to have a permit to park in those areas.
Yeah, so a couple years back, down at Wading River Beach along Creek Road, I believe we implemented some parking by permit, which would be issues.
Oak and Central,
issued
yes.
to residents for
Yes.
Oak Street.
Mhm.
This operates identical to that, and it is intended to affect Iron Pier Beach and Reeves Park. And I mean, other than that, it's pretty straightforward.
I have a question. Last weekend, I think it was last weekend, I got a text from somebody that somebody was, a resident was charging people to park on their property to go to the beach. Wouldn't that be considered a commercial operation? Or are you allowed to charge people to park on your property?
I think that would be very difficult to police. But if you're parking on someone's personal property, I would have permission of the owner.
Well, so they're allowed, they can charge to park on their property. I'm just asking the question, I got a text, I wanted an answer.
As long as they claim it on their taxes as income.
Oh, good luck.
As long as they're not
I think it's
parking on the
okay.
front yard in excess of 24 hours, that's okay.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Bob, you going after the lemonade stands next after this? The little
I'm
kids?
not going after anybody. Somebody asked, a constituent asked me a question about it, that's all. I'm looking for an answer from the authorities, period.
We gotta
And by the way,
you
those
have to
lemonade
purchase
stands,
an
those
unmarked
kids,
vehicle.
let's get those kids.
Cannot think of a town code violation that we could issue to them, other than the front yard parking if it's an
Right,
excess.
it's on the grass.
Lemonade stands.
Okay, so everybody's comfortable?
Yes.
With these? So we'll put that into publish and post also for Tuesday?
I just have a quick question for the chief. Is there a preference on the side of the road on
I
Toomey?
think we're gonna go with the east side of Toomey. Seems when they pull out and going north, they're parking on the east side.
And so as to those 3 Chapter 289 amendments, is everyone comfortable putting in resolutions for publish and post?
So there'll be, is it all separate hearings? How are you going to do that, Eric?
it would be 3 separate public hearings,
3 separate, okay.
yes.
Okay. Good, guys?
Yes.
No other questions?
I'm
Okay.
in favor, as long as there's no penalties for lemonade stands.
All right, thank you, guys. Chief, Eric, Danielle, thank you, appreciate it. So I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna just take I'm gonna ask for a first and a second to just take a quick 5-minute recess. We have BFJ, they're here with us, and we're just gonna need a few minutes just to set up for that presentation. So if I can have a first and a second to take a 5-minute
So moved.
break, and then we'll come back.
Second?
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks, guys. Larry, you good with that? You got it?